כבוד הרב, כבוד היושב ראש, נציגי הממשל, יהודים יקרים. My dear friends, as I came in, I asked myself, is Israel isolated? And seeing you here, I say no. Israel is not alone and is not isolated. I would rather say that many of the countries, all of them, that voted as they voted twice in the last few weeks at the United Nations and at UNESCO, isolated themselves from very basic moral principles. They isolated themselves from a fair decision between what is right and what is wrong. They isolated themselves from the basic principle upon which the United Nations was founded, that it should be an organization to help bring peace to the world and keep peace to the world. It is to be an organization that is opposed to the use of force in deciding problems between peoples and between nations. And one of its basic principles is that all peoples of the world are equal, large and small, rich and poor, various religions and various colors of the skin. The United Nations, the last few weeks, picked the Jewish state and isolated themselves from all the principles in order to bring pressure upon the small, one Jewish state to forego the basic responsibility of any people, of any government, and that is to safeguard its security, its independence, and its freedom. I say this, my friends, and not because we are overjoyed with the decisions that were taken at the United Nations, but as citizens of the world, as Jews, as Israelis, it is difficult for us to understand how nations of the world together allow the appearance of a man who personally, and the organization that he represents, the hands of this man that so enthusiastically waved to the audience are hands that have blood on it from small children, from women, from young people who were murdered in schoolhouses, in their apartments, and various places that they could be found alone, not on the battlefront, but stealing in during the night. And everybody who is unarmed, who cannot protect himself, little babies, little children, they are the objects of death. This man was received like a head of state. My friends, when I heard over the radio his speech, nothing new in it for us, but the enthusiasm, the applause. One would think that they listened to somebody who came with a message of peace and goodwill. Actually, what he said, and on that I am happy to say that he was honest this time. He said exactly what he meant. And what he said was, literally, the Jews need no state of their own. They have no right to a state of their own. And we, the Palestinians, want to create a democratic state in all of Palestine. My friends, he didn't speak about this territory or another territory. He didn't say this place Israel should give up or the other place. He spoke of all of Palestine. That's not only the Western Bank. It's not only the Sinai Desert. It's not only the strip of the Gaza Strip. It's not only the Golan Heights. My friends, we have to force ourselves to look facts in the face and not run away from facts and realities. What Ashraf, that is PLO, what Arafat wants, what he asked the United Nations for, was the elimination of the state of Israel. It is all of Israel, plus the Western Bank, plus everything else. I think plus also Jordan, because all of Palestine means Jordan as well. All of the historic Palestine was from the Mediterranean down to the Iraqian borders, which includes Jordan. This was applauded with great enthusiasm. Of course, one can say most of those that applauded it didn't mean it. They are not all enemies of Israel. But you Israelis have to understand. Do you have oil? No. Well, Saudi Arabia has. Libya has. Kuwait has. So what do you expect us to do? Sorry about you, but you have no oil. Have you hundreds of billions of dollars to invest in various countries of the world, to buy up companies, to buy up properties, to make investments? No, you are in need of financial help? Well, really, Israelis, be sensible. What do you expect? With whom should we vote? We have learned a lesson many, many years ago. Dr. Chaim Weizmann, whose 100th year of his birth we celebrated in Israel. Being the head of the Zionist organization, he once went to see a colonial minister in London and said to him, what the government decided is wrong. It is morally wrong. And the colonial minister also was to be congratulated for speaking openly and frankly. And he said, Dr. Weizmann, you are right. It is morally wrong. But, Dr. Weizmann, when moral principles clash with expediency, expediency must take the upper hand. So, oil, money, terror, blackmail. You, little Israel, you haven't any of these qualities. Therefore, we not only vote with Arafat, we applaud him. We become hysterical in our applause for him. We should be ashamed. Well, maybe we should. But oil will wash away also shame. And oil will also help us clean our conscience of the fact that we have done something of which we are ashamed. And then people come to us and say, you see, you are isolated. The fact that 20 Arab countries and the communist bloc and some more Muslim countries and African countries, many of them who have been blackmailed into voting against us. I know many of them. I've been in many of their countries. I've been in many of their countries before they were independent. Immediately upon independence, Israelis came in, not to conquer, not to plead that they should be anti-Arab, but with all their hearts to work with them. And they all remember it. They vote against us. Our enemies vote against us. My friends, what hurts more than anything else probably are the abstentions. What does it mean when a delegation, upon instructions from its government, fine, cultured, decent countries, decent peoples, what does it mean when they abstain? They abstain between the Israel state should be or it should be annihilated. They abstain in the decision whether the 3 million Jews of Israel should join the 6 million who are gone or they should live. And this one can be neutral, and this one can abstain. These are not questions of borders. These are not questions that Israel should withdraw here or withdraw there. Israel should withdraw from being. And this, some of the most decent countries in the world, some of the most decent people, many of them whom I know personally, heads of the government and heads of state. And that, the world has come to this, that on that they abstain. But we Israelis, we've never run away from the battlefield. And we never ran away from realities. Zionism, that culminated in the establishment of a Jewish independent state, was a dream. It was, if you wish, mysticism. If you wish, this was an organization of founders, at any rate, dreamers. And yet, we dreamt a great dream. But we never allowed ourselves to dream away, if one can say so, to dream away realities. The possibility of having had established the state is because there was a dream at the source and the courage to face realities, no matter how difficult, no matter how tragic. Just the same as our boys in the battlefield, outnumbered by men, outnumbered by tanks and planes and missiles, don't run away. Never ran away. So we won all the wars, and we paid the price for every victory in war. Nobody wins a war without paying a price. Young men, young women that should have been with us, should have been alive, are gone. But they made the possibility of a Jewish state, of Jewish independence. They made it possible for us to live. I may say one thing, I don't know whether you will all agree. By winning these wars, by fighting for our independence and liberty, I believe absolutely with all my heart that the future of the Jewish people is assured by that. After 6 million gone, and if God forbid no state of Israel, or that also being gone, one has to think, a Jew has to think very seriously. What would have happened? Not immediately, another generation, 2 generations. Would there be a guarantee of the existence and life of a Jewish people? And our boys in the 6-Day War and in the Yom Kippur War, in conversations afterwards, said they felt that they were fighting not only for themselves, not for those of us who are in Israel, but for our entire people. Not far from here, in 1938, I was in Evian at a conference that President Roosevelt called at that time that was to discuss the problem of Jewish refugees running away from Hitler. All the countries of the world were there. There were very touching speeches made, full of sympathy for the Jews and full of disgust for Nazism and Hitlerism. But there was one refrain to every speech. Everyone ended his speech on this note: but my country can't accept them. And I remember we went to a press conference, one of the finest people in the Jewish world, in the Zionist movement, and in Palestine. He didn't live to see Israel established. Dr. Rupin and I went to a press conference. And I remember saying one thing: I hope and pray that I will live to see the day when the Jewish people will not be in need of pity. And I believe that I've lived to see the day. We're not in need of pity. We demand justice. We may be facing more dangers. We in Israel never promise our people, because we have no right to do that. Nor can we promise you that the war that was fought on Yom Kippur was the last war. It does not depend upon us. The 67 war should never have happened. My friends, all our good friends that are not our enemies, that tell us, why didn't you go back to the 67 borders? I was asked this on your television tonight. Don't you think you made a mistake? And I said, look, I have been asking, I suppose it's a foolish question, because nobody has yet answered me. If the 67 borders are so good, why was there a war in 67? The Western Bank then was in the hands of Hussein. East Jerusalem was in his hands. The Golan Heights were in the hands of Assad. The Sinai Desert and the Gaza Strip were in the hands of Egypt. Tell me, why was there a war on the 67 borders? If one has the courage to face realities and not lull himself into a pleasant dream from which he may wake or maybe not wake at all, it's because not the borders, not the territories. It's because Egypt and Syria then felt, finally we've reached an hour when we can make it. Soviet Union packing Syria and especially Egypt with all the devilish arms of destruction. They can make it. And Nasser then from the Sinai Desert, speaking at a place that had bombers who were only 3 to 4 minutes away from Tel Aviv, said, this time we will make it. Now, good people of the world say, now go back. Go back to the same place where you came from, which we did in 57, my friends. And we had to go back again. And every time we go back and we win a war, again in Sharm el-Sheikh, again in the Gaza Strip, we pay. So, I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody can promise that there will be no more wars. It doesn't depend upon us. If attacked, and when attacked, God forbid, but it has happened, it may happen again. This people of Israel has decided to do everything in its power, all our strength, all our ability, all we have, our lives. When I say our lives, life of people of my generation, that's not so terrible. When I say our lives, it means the lives of our sons, of our daughters, of our grandchildren now, who have fought in the wars and will have to go again. This may happen, but we are not going to raise our hands and say we give up. Friends, I happened to be in London when Chamberlain came back from Munich. I didn't know Mr. Chamberlain. I'm convinced he wanted peace. And so he weighed peace for all humanity at the expense of a small nation, Czechoslovakia. Maybe his heart even ached for the people in Czechoslovakia. But look what he was winning. He was winning peace for the entire world. And the Czechs, poor people, had to take it. I want to say clearly, I'm not speaking for government now. I'm not in government. But I know my people. I'm a citizen of Israel. I've been there over 53 years. And I can tell you on behalf of all the people, and Israel governments before and the Israel government at present is following a policy of doing two things which are not in contrast with each other, on the contrary. One, to do everything that is possible to try and negotiate peace with our neighbors. And that too depends upon our neighbors. And at the same time, to do everything within our power that we should be strong so that if attacked, we can defend ourselves, to build our country, to develop it, to absorb as many Jews as are coming in, to raise the standard of living of those that have come in the 50s and 60s and not yet come up to the standard of living that we think they should have. That is strength, not only military-wise, And we do have some friends, but I know, and this is not, I'm not saying anything against them. God forbid, they've helped us a lot. But I know that if we will be weak, no help from the outside can really help us. If our spirit should be broken, nobody can help us. And I believe that when the United States and other countries, and people, not only governments, people here, people in Europe, people all over, are with us, it's not because, well, the poor Israelis, they're down and broken. No, not poor Israelis, but Israelis who are prepared to give their lives for what they believe is right and just. With these people, free, democratic, decent, for 7 years in the territories, hundreds of thousands of Arabs in the Western Bank and the Gaza Strip. Friends, we've never fooled ourselves. We never thought that the Western bankers and those in the Gaza Strip 3 times a day pray that the Israelis should remain. No, they want us out. But anybody objective, any enemy of Israel, but who is decent, and will go to the Western Bank and go to the Gaza Strip and see the revolution that took place there during the 7 years. We must be strong, military-wise. We must be strong in our economy. We can't let our economy break down. Yes, the United States helps us a lot. And yet, if we want the arms that we need, absolutely, and there are no proportion in numbers to what our neighbors have, still many, 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 many millions have to be paid. We can't ask even Jews from outside, citizens of other countries, to carry the military burden for us. That we have to do. And I'm proud of the government that has decided on very strict measures to make our life much less comfortable than it is economically. And never mind, don't pity us. We'll do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the courage to face you and tell you, be with us in carrying some of our burdens, in the absorption of immigrants, in development, in welfare. I can do it because we are carrying a heavy burden ourselves, plus the security burden. So, friends, I should have enjoyed it more if I could come to you and say, friends, we are on the verge of having real peace with our neighbors. We've never lied to you. I hope that you are with me when I say we have kept all our promises. We will keep them also in the future. When we are a bit gloomy, we think of you here and of Jews in New York and in Los Angeles and in Argentina and Buenos Aires and all over the world, that you are with us not only on the day when there is shooting, but you are with us in all our efforts. When our hearts weep, so do yours. When there's a day of sunshine and hope, you are with us. As long as we are not isolated from you, or you, God forbid, from us, Israel is not alone.